Okay, so I'm going to play the newscast from the Globe and Mail on how they talk about the leaks that they had. Listen to this. Oh, and this picture is up because Mark Carney's sitting with a bunch of communists here, just so you guys know. And they talk about Chinese foreign interference. Well, it speaks for itself. But let's listen to what they had to say.
The latest on the report that took over the campaign trail. This was the Globe and Mail headline this morning, that CSIS alleges India organized support for Poilievre's 2022 conservative leadership bid. The Globe cited an unnamed source with top secret clearance saying CSIS learned that Indian agents were involved in raising money and organizing within the South Asian community, and that CSIS did not share this information with Mr. Poilievre because he does not have the necessary security clearance. Now,
so it's okay for the Liberal member and CSIS with top security clearance to leak this information to the Globe and Mail, but not tell Pierre Poilievre. So let's keep going.
Sources have confirmed to Radio Canada that CSIS is making this allegation. Joining me now is one of the authors of that Globe and Mail report. Robert Fife is the Globe and Mail's Ottawa bureau chief. Bob, good to see you. Thanks for being here, man.
Anytime.
Okay, you write that according to your source, CSIS didn't say the efforts by India was sweeping or highly organized. So how and how much does CSIS think India interfered here?
Well, according to our sources, that CSIS had information that Indian agents and their proxies had tried to raise money and support for Mr. Poilievre in the 2022 leadership convention, which, by the way, he handily won. Nobody is suggesting that this had a major impact or it had the outcome, affected the outcome of the election. But the fact of the matter is, it is foreign interference.
Right. Your sources, which was CSIS, told you that there was no evidence at all. Got it. Let's continue.
A foreign power was trying to have an impact on the election campaign, as they do with other parties, to try to cozy up and have some political influence.
Well, what do they think the goal was there in terms of getting Pierre Poilievre elected? Because what did they think the influence goal of India was in this particular case?
Well, as we've learned from the public inquiry into foreign interference and numerous CSIS reports, that foreign powers such as China and India and Pakistan and Iran try to ingratiate themselves and use diplomats and their proxies in the immigrant communities to gain influence over politicians, that they will either be less critical of the country or that they might even be able to speak up in favor of them. Nobody is suggesting, again, that Mr. Poilievre was doing that. In fact, our source said that CSIS had, there was no evidence that Mr. Poilievre or his inner circle even knew about this.
Right. So not just the Conservative Party, but all parties have foreign interference at some point. And that's right. Again, you just told me that your sources said there was no evidence of Pierre Poilievre or his party or anybody around his circle even knew that any of this was even happening. That means no one in his circle was being influenced. No one in his circle, including himself, had anything to do with it. So essentially, who cares if he's got a security clearance or not? It's nobody in his caucus. But let's continue.
The problem we have here, Dave, is that we've known since last June, when the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians said that there were instances where a foreign power, in particular India, had interfered in the leadership convention. We never knew whether it was with Patrick Brown or Pierre Poilievre or anybody else. But Mr. Poilievre could have found out. All he had to do was to get a national security clearance.
Right. But no one in his circle or himself or anyone that had anything to do with him was even involved in any of it. But here you are trying to press in the media to get a security clearance. And we already knew this because they released all 7 reports, and nowhere in those reports is Pierre Poilievre's name ever mentioned. In fact, they mentioned Aaron O'Toole, not Pierre Poilievre. But let's continue.
So that he could ask CSIS to brief him on who was involved in this, and as leader of the party to make sure those individuals had nothing to do with the Conservative Party ever again.
Right. Once again, it was nobody in his party, as you stated, as your source stated, which is CSIS. They had nothing to do with it. Now you want him to just go run off to India and say, hey, listen, stop interfering and stop doing what you're doing and start a fight with India? At the end of the day, CSIS and the RCMP and the Prime Minister that had that information this entire time since 2021 and 2022 should have went and took those steps to make sure that India wasn't being involved in any foreign interference. They had the top secret information that was released in the public inquiry, the 7 documents of them stating all this information that this guy got from his CSIS. Like, it wasn't a leak. All of this was already said in the damn report, but they're acting like it's some big leak. But let me remind you, CSIS and a Liberal member both told Globe and Mail, which both have top secret clearance information, but they told the Globe and Mail, but they didn't want to tell Pierre Poilievre. This is such bull. I'm telling you right now that this is a setup.
I don't know if he was aware of it. There's certainly no evidence of it. Certainly no evidence that people around him were aware of it.
Right, there it is again. I don't know how many times they've said it already in this newscast that there's certainly no evidence. Nobody around him even was aware of it. So what's this all about again? Sorry?
He had gotten the briefing. What's your understanding of what he would have been able to do there? Would he have known who the specific agents of India were who were trying to interfere in the campaign? Would it be that level of granularity that he would have been able to take action on? Because that's what I'm curious about here.
Yeah, I believe that would be the case.
Oh, you believe that in your opinion, you believe that. Where's the documentation? Like, where's your proof here, man?
Let's go back to the case of Han Dong in 2019, the Liberal running in Don Valley North. CSIS came to the Liberal Party, very concerns about Chinese students and others who were, and the consulate helping out to get him elected. Mr. Dong said he didn't know anything about this, but they informed the Prime Minister of it, and the Prime Minister allowed that nomination to go ahead. We subsequently learned from the public inquiry how extensive that help from China was, and as you now know, Mr. Han Dong is not going to obviously be allowed to run for the Liberals in this election campaign. So it's a similar thing. CSIS comes to you with information. You can choose to ignore it if you want to.
But it's not a similar thing. See, the Liberal government in that report, which was made public, and it's not top secret information, and Justin Trudeau didn't say anything until it was released to the public, but his Liberal MP stepped down because they found foreign interference on him. That's why he's not allowed to run in this election. So it's not similar because there was no foreign interference that happened to the Conservative parties that they even knew of. No one in the Conservative Party was actually involved in foreign interference. But you just said that the Liberal government, which is stated in that 7 report document, that Liberal government was involved in foreign interference with China. And that's why that MP stepped down. And that was made public. It's not like it was some secret. And Justin Trudeau didn't step up and say, hey, you got to step down. No, the guy volunteered to step down. Why did you volunteer to step down? Why did they say they got evidence? And why were you the only one in that report that had anything on you? Nothing was said about the Conservatives and them being traitors. Like, this is what I mean. People don't read. People don't know what was going on. So this newscast and everybody else is spreading this to bash Pierre. That's exactly what it is. They have no evidence. They have nothing. They've said it plenty of times. Their sources are telling them information that was already put into that the Foreign Interference Committee report. This is such BS.
Mr. Poilievre says he doesn't want to have a security clearance because somehow he believes the Liberals are going to use that information to either discredit him or to try to deny him from getting limited information so that he can then criticize the government.
Like the same thing that you're doing. There's no point of him getting it because there was nobody in his caucus, nobody in the Conservative Party that had anything to do with foreign interference. Not even him. You said so yourself. CSIS that leaked this information that was top secret to you, who broke his top secret ethics, apparently. But at the end of the day, the information was in the reports anyways. But what are you talking about? Why are you so fixated on making sure that he gets his security clearance? I'm telling you right now, this is a tactic, and all the news agencies are in on it. Good job.